Welcome everybody to the second, IIT Dhanbad Entrepreneurs Global Meet. The event now focuses on a panel discussion with these two amazing alumni and entrepreneurs. Gautam sir, co-founder of NovaPay, and Avlesh sir, 2005 batch, co-founder and CEO of WebEngage. So let's get started. So let's start with a round of very short introduction. Avlesh sir and Gautam sir, if you guys can briefly introduce yourself and your company.
Folks, I'm 2005 batch pass out, mineral engineering from IIT Dhanbad. It used to be IIT Dhanbad then. And since college, I've done a few odd jobs here and there. Mostly at small no-name startups. None of them became fairly large successes, except for a little bit of glory that we got at my last stint, where I was the first hire. This was a company called burp.com, B-U-R-R-P. I guess everybody knows Zomato. But before Zomato happened, there was this small cool startup in Mumbai called Burp, and I was the first hire there. We couldn't raise a lot of capital, and Zomato just came and ate our lunch, quite literally. So Burp had to be shut, and we had to sell the company. It was to Network 18, so there was a little bit of solace there, but it wasn't a great exit, little bit. And my partner there at Burp, one of the members of my team, his name is Ankit. We started muddling over what to do, and might as well do something on our own. So that's what the WebEngage journey has been. We started in 2011. Will be 9 years in this October. Two co-founders, me and Ankit. We're sizable in size now. I can tell you the revenue numbers, but I'll have to kill you guys. But it's double-digit $1 million revenue, and we've done okay. We raised a little bit of capital in the journey, and we operate out of four key geographies. India is one. And followed by MENA, Europe, Latin America, US, and team small. We are about 150 people, headquartered in Mumbai and offices elsewhere. As far as the product is concerned, it's a marketing automation product. For folks who don't know, it's one of those things that businesses do to retain their customers, to keep getting them back to their app or back to their website in the form of messaging. So a lot of these orchestration, workflow design to get users back onto the platform is what WebEngage provides as a tool. This whole thing is called marketing automation, and the delivery, service delivery happens via fulfillment of a lot of messages to users that these businesses have. Our business largely focuses on consumers, B2C businesses. So we have customers like Myntra, customers like Flipkart, First Cry, Go Ibibo, Yatra in India, and similar names as well. That's largely sort of our portfolio. And I'm very happy to be here. Anything that I can help with, more than happy to. Thank you so much, Rakesh, for the opportunity, and good to meet you, Gautam sir.
Awesome. Thanks, sir. And then, so just to recap, so you are into software as a service business, sir, right?
That's correct. It's a SaaS product.
Yeah, it's a SaaS product, cloud-based, right? So, and then, and where is your mainly like customer base? I know you have a pretty widespread in many countries.
Right. India is about 50% of our business as of now, and Middle East is another 20%. Europe is about 10%. US is another 10%, and rest is sort of very thinly spread.
All right. Awesome. All right. Moving on to, thanks, Avlesh sir, for joining. Moving on to Gautam sir, please go ahead and provide some background about you and your company.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I graduated out of ISM long time back. Okay. So 1993. Okay. And petroleum engineering. As luck would have it, at that point in time, the job scene was really bad. Okay. So, 1992 was like almost, none of the standard recruiters were visiting in ISM. So we were pretty much ready for that scenario, and I did MBA, got into banks, then got into from bank side, I went into IT, joined Infosys on the product management side, and I was there for a very long time. So started off with doing product management to the entire the pre-sales consulting to entire delivery management for the channel banking product. And I was like traveling the world. I mean, I'll be probably traveling around the world for maybe, I don't know, maybe about half the year. I'll be just traveling around the world. And one of those travel in 2009, I really got bugged, saying that enough is enough. That's like it's when and I was like really thinking in terms of what to do and how to do. And but it so happens that in 2009, one of the presentation that I was making, it was at that point in time I was talking about how mobility-based solution can actually change the way people will be looking at banking. Okay, and we had built some demo apps within our and this was like Nokia-based apps and stuff like that, okay, that we had done, and we are showcasing that. And Nandan just happened to be there in that meeting. Okay, so it somehow I got his attention, and then when I was back, and I was also thinking in terms of what to do, because this was like getting to to my nerves. So I got a call from from the Nandan's office through my business head, okay, the head of the unit, and he wanted to meet me because he was very impressed in terms of what I was trying to say at that point in time in 2009. So then that changed everything, because I then quickly made a case for myself to actually build new products within the company, an entrepreneurial journey that started. Okay. And I built a couple of products, including financial inclusion based product and the financial digital commerce product, which is where became Airtel Money. Okay, so Airtel Money, the first telecom wallet in India, actually went live on the product that I and my team built. Okay, and it was like a journey in itself. We were all like 12, 13 people holed up in Mysore, okay, away from our homes, working maybe 16 hours a day, and all together. And we turned this around in about 3 months time. Okay, and of course, building based on some base was there in terms of what we had done it for the financial inclusions, and we won that deal. Okay, and with the customer tried us for pilot, and then they did it, and so basically it was, and the entire the digital commerce and financial inclusion using mobility is something that I really started getting deeper into, and payments was my passion. Okay, 2013 towards the end, I said, hey, you know what? I mean, it was probably too late, right? 2013. It's like, I mean, you guys have started off with a startup journey much earlier in your lifetime. But yeah, I mean, it's like never too late, as I say. So started off in 2013, 2000. I joined. Again, it was a Nandan connection. Nandan connected me to one of my co-founders, and there I joined Khosla Labs as an entrepreneur in residence and EIR. Okay, and then 2014 is when we formed this company NovoPay. So NovoPay, we are a company that our vision is to provide banking to 1 billion. Okay, and we really focus on the bottom of the pyramid. Okay, or maybe the bottom and the middle of the pyramid. Okay, the lower middle of the pyramid is what we focus on. Okay, and I know that's where we want to bring difference to the large set of 600 million population or 700 million population of India. Okay, which is not getting targeted by the Paytms of the world. Okay, so it's 100 million on the top of the pyramid, like you, me, everybody, which is where PhonePe and Paytm, and they're throwing all the cashbacks to get you. Okay, whereas the real value of money is known by the people who know that if they have to skip work for about 4 hours to go to the bank, okay, then their livelihood is actually impacted, and the kind of money that they spend to go to the nearest banking point is again is going to make him poorer by 50 rupees, which matters a lot to him. So they really understand the value of the money, really, and value of the time. Okay, in terms of and we really focused on that segment. So that is one area that we focused on. And when in the beginning of the journey, when we started doing that, okay, our vision was to create the largest financial services network in India. Okay, which will provide to the customer who will be walking in with financial services. For example, I want to send money home. So there's a migrant worker who comes to our shop. Okay, shop, not our shop, but a shop who's a franchisee of ours, okay, and they want to send money through IMPS or any FT to another, their father's account or mother's account in the villages. And in the villages, there is a micro ATM, which is again works on Aadhaar-based authentication, where you can withdraw the money in cash out there. So this money movement, from a remittance on one side or DBT that comes to the bank account, withdrawing them, enabling, that is what we wanted to do. Of course, at various levels of transaction, payments, then bill payment, recharges, and life insurance, doctor on call, and all of those kind of things, which is the services that are missing. So that's what we focused on. Okay. And while doing this, we figured out the fact that one of the things that really was the most problematic one was actually integrating with the banks. Okay. The technology really was, was not at the, the best level of technology is not available. They were not API enabled. Okay. And to do and achieve what you want to do, if you have to depend a lot on the banks, then your journey is going to be slower. Okay. So we started building technology stack, and much more than what we probably needed to do it for providing a retail-based services. And that's where we started getting into the products and solutions for the banking and fintech world. Okay, using the banks and fintech, and again, we are very focused on products which cater to the the 1 billion customer of the bottom of the pyramid. Okay, which is to take care of let's say agency banking or prepaid card. Those who don't have bank account, prepaid card, agency banking, or products like field force management, Voyager, and stuff like that. So this is what we have built. Okay, it's been about 7 years. 2014, 6 years plus. Okay, is what we are in. Today, we are going to be approximately 100 crore company, by this financial year. Okay, and we are
100 crore in revenue, right?
100 crore in revenues, yes, 100 crore in the revenues. Again, we as a company have been very focused in terms of unit economics. Okay, so basically, we're not throwing money to get transactions. Yeah, we may be throwing money to build capacities, but at a transaction level, we shouldn't be losing money. So we have been profitable from 2017 onwards, as a company. We're a Khosla Ventures invested company. So that's one of our investors. The other one being IDFC Limited. Okay. So that's the what the journey has been. So far so good. And I think is the next level of growth is what we are looking forward to. So so awesome. 100 crores to 1,000 crores.
Yeah. Congrats on the success, both of you guys. Now, for all the audience, if you guys have any questions, because this session is mainly focused on Q&A, so please start posting your question on the chat, Q&A chat, and I'll start taking those questions for both of the panelists here today. Before we jump on Q&A, I want to briefly touch on ISM, right? So 1993, sir. Probably the economy was just opening up and there's no thing called internet, right?
Absolutely.
Even in 2000, I don't think we had, we just started, I think, internet in 2004 or so, right? So I want you guys to briefly touch on ISM days and, how were the things when it comes to start of those days?
Well, it was, it was like, I don't know, it was like completely happy-go-lucky days. Okay, in fact, I still remember, and I think I don't remember as to how many of the first class that I have actually attended. Okay, we'll sneak in from, I don't know. It used to be a whole lot unruly guys, at that point in time. Okay, of course, I right now I think that people are very well behaved, and it's a totally, it was a very small size, college at that point in time. I think our batch was 200. Okay, that's the total number. Okay, in terms of the students per se. So yes, a whole lot of fun, in terms of Ramdhani, multiple trips to Ramdhani, having tea there, sutta, and there's a guy who used to be like a boiled eggs fellow. He was a very popular guy. Okay, so we'll play football and then come there, and it was a daily staple for us. Okay, so. A good fun, I would say. I think the friendship that we made in the college is the amount of bonding that we have actually created. And Avlesh mentioned that yahan bhi ragging, matlab wo ragging. So I आजकल सुनता हूँ कि बंद हो गया है, but that was like part and parcel of of the induction process. Okay, and and that's I'm in great time. I really every moment of it we really cherish, and those 4 years were the most beautiful. Yes, we were probably lack of internet or whatever. The only way to to know things was to read books, and and to discuss with friends, and a lot more time to be actually physically spending with friends and things like that. So yeah, so that's
Awesome. Yeah, I think one of the audience is asking ragging. How was the ragging those days? So I was like, yeah, we cannot talk about that publicly here. Avlesh sir, 2005.
No, a lot of nostalgia, man. I think I used to be a very shy person by nature, and I think I did explore myself and discover myself at ISM, and that's been the singular biggest achievement as far as the college is concerned, and I am concerned. Padhai likhai and all that is great, but I did discover myself. I did discover that I was capable of doing things, and there was nobody to stop you. There was nobody to sort of, of course, there was nobody to guide you either. But you could do what you wanted, and for me, there was a very different experience. I think I have that changed fundamentally. Me as an individual. A lot of you celebrate Srijan now. By the way, I don't know how many of you do know this. Srijan was conceptualized in 2004. That was there used to be something known as Saturnalia before that, and which used to be annual fest, was very localized affair.
Yes.
And 2004 is when some of folks, including there was a bunch of folks, was fortunate enough to be a part of that gang, and we rechristened it to Srijan. We did the whole thing on and about, got some money in sponsorships. I think those things have been life-changing events for me personally, as far as discovering myself is concerned. I think in 2005 I did join HCL just after leaving campus. There was one of the campus placements, and I got bored in 6 months. I couldn't stay there while a lot of people were loving their job, but I for my life I could not understand what I'm going to do here. And without knowing what I'm going to do, I actually left in 6 months, lesser than that. I did end up joining a couple of folks in IIT Delhi. They had IIT Delhi had an incubator then, right? Startups were not cool. This is 2005. So startups were not cool during that time. And I chose to be a part of these guys. They went bust in, like, I don't know, 7-8 months. We were building Google Maps for India.
This is that on your mo, sir?
That's on your mo, right?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, stupid things like that. We had like a lot of users in IIT hostels, nobody outside of that, right? So, nobody understood what we were trying to do. For most part, we also didn't know what we were trying to do. But you did it nonetheless. I think what I'm trying to highlight in all of this is, for me personally, the ability to do things like these, go out there. I was working at startups even before startups were cool. Right, this is 2005, 6 times. I worked one after another, and finally ended up doing my own in 2011, which was, of course, I think that journey has not been easy either. But all of this was possible because I think I was very confident about how I thought about life and macro views of life. A lot of that was self-exploration, which happened at ISM. So yes, I'll be forever grateful for those 4 years.
Exciting. So let's jump into the Q&A now. We already started getting, I think, 7 or 8 questions. So panelists, if you guys could become like a really brief and short, that would help us to cover as many questions as possible. So the first question is, where are you based, Avlesh sir? So Mumbai?
Yes, it's Mumbai. Mumbai is home, and Mumbai is where the company headquarters is. Yeah.
Awesome. How was the ragging interaction was like in those days? So we're gonna skip that one. Another question from anonymous attendee for Gautam sir. How are you connecting with those bottom 1 billion people? They might not even have smartphone or internet.
That's correct. Okay, so I think the way to connect with them is through a community of retailers. So in India we have 120,000 retail outlets. Now these retailers are a regular mom and pop shop. They could be a telecom a recharge seller, or it could be an FMCG like a grocery shop, or so these are the guys who are pretty much very well aware of in terms of how to use an Android phone. Okay, and our app on the Android phone, there's an assisted transaction that happens. Okay, and that's how they are, basically we are reaching out to the, to the end consumer. While we have also introduced an app called NovoPay Grahak for the end consumer, because you'll be surprised. I think, and especially with this whole pandemic thing coming in, okay, the penetration of the actual smartphone usage and the internet usage in the villages has improved dramatically, okay, in the last 4 months or 5 months, okay. So so it's getting there. It's not like many of these 1 billion people may not have smartphone. It's true, but they have one maybe shared smartphone within the family, and the retailer of course have a smartphone for using them. The services are being delivered, and many of these services are also very secure because they're Aadhaar based, meaning you're giving your biometric to actually withdraw cash from your account.
Maybe one of you guys can take on this. How do you get startup ideas, and how do you know it's worth enough? From Ankit, Ankit asked this question.
Before talking about anything else, okay, let me just first say that, do you find something, do you find yourself passionate about something is the first point that you need to get to, okay? What are you passionate about? What do you really want to do? Okay, so that is the answer that you must find, the first answer that you have to find. And then, of course, so that could be that 1% inspiration, right? Okay, then the 99% is actually perspiration. Okay, you need to get to the level of execution details at a very, very high. I mean everything, whether it is product market fitment, how will you go about making your pitches, okay, how professional you look in terms of what template you're going to be using it, okay, to actually to make your pitch. What is your segmentation, targeting and positioning statement? What is there? What is the value proposition of your thing? What are the different segments that you're catering to, and what message will actually be appealing to that particular segment? All of that thought process you need to actually have it to, so basically even before and again, I mean, I'm not saying that you I mean, beat it out of out of the proportion or so. No, I mean, you don't need to figure out everything before you start off. Okay, but you need to actually do the work on paper before you actually start doing it. Okay, so so that's an important learning that I've got, and obviously in the beginning it's absolutely okay. It may be a whole lot of blood rush and adrenaline about at what you want to do, and you go about doing it, that's fine. Okay, and I think we have a great example here in Avlesh. Fail fast. He's tried so many things, and finally he's hit upon it. So I mean, try it out. So try out, fail fast, and then you shall hit upon in terms of what you want to do it. But it's important to just shake off and take the learning from the failure and just get going. And it's not going to be easy. I mean, that you tell yourself that, hey, I'm in for it, okay, because it's not a journey that is going to be easy. So well, I mean that's what I think. Avlesh, maybe your bit now, okay, in terms of how do you go about finding ideas.
No, Gautam sir, you covered it. I think that's pretty much it. I was saying this in the breakout session. I'll repeat it for the rest of the audience also. I think we are all cursed being engineers, and that makes you think a lot about solutions instead of the problem. I think one of the golden rules in my life that I've learned all these years, if there is one thing that I've learned really well, is to obsess over the problem, not over the solution. Most people will make this mistake all their lives, because you're very close to solution, you're very close to figuring things out, and in that you lose essence of the problem, which funnily in many cases is actually very simple. We like to think of problems as complex, right? We generally want problems to be complex because that's essentially how your engineer self feels good. But the world's problems are very, very simple, very, very simple. It's nothing close to complexity. You have to see it through that lens, which means you have to obsess over the problem a lot. Spend thinking about the problem. Solutions are dime a dozen. It's very easy to solve a problem once you know the problem.
Yeah, I agree with you. And like some people can attach to the solution, which is not good because
most people do. Most people do, Rakesh. Unfortunately,
yeah.
A lot of people gravitate quickly towards the solution. They find a lot more comfort there as opposed to the problem. I think once you break that, you're mostly ready. And second thing that it takes is you have to work. You have to think 10 years ahead. You cannot get bored. You cannot get distracted. If you have gotten to that point in your life and you know that you're going to commit the next 10 years to this, probably 20, 30, 40, then you know you're ready. I think that is the hardest part. Staying put and making it work is probably one of the hardest things in the startup journey, and which is the reason why most startups will fail.
All right, let's move on to the next question from Rajneesh Ranjan, 2020. How is it building team in initial days of startup? Please share some of your experiences and challenges in leading a team in initial days. Maybe Avlesh, you want to take that one?
Anything you talk about startup is, I wish I could say it, this is easy, right? I wish I could for anything that you say, right? Whether it's about building teams, building products, hitting your first customers, raising capital, everything is insanely hard and stupid for no reason, right? It's just hard because there are too many people trying to do all of these things, which is why it makes it harder. I think one of the things that people need to learn to make it happen is, and this has nothing to do with hiring, but generally for everything in life, you have to realize that at some point of time, right, if you have to grow, and it doesn't have to be, whether you want to do a startup or otherwise, everybody starts selling when they become very successful in their life. And when I selling, I don't mean going door to door selling detergent, but selling is a state of mind, right? And again, there's an engineer's curse. Most people will never become very good at selling either themselves or their ideas or their thoughts or their products, or just go on and on about it. Learn to sell very early in your life. I think that is going to go a long way, because when you are hiring people, you're not actually hiring, you're selling. Most people will not know it, but you're basically selling a vision. You have some stupid idea, you're working out of some stupid location, and you want people to buy into it and come work for you for lower salaries, longer period of time, higher commitment, no weekends, no life, right? Which means you have to oversell yourself. And hiring is difficult, but the reason it's difficult is because most people suck at selling. I think that's an art. That's an art well learned, well in advance. The sooner the better. Everything else will become a lot more easier. Raising capital, building products, selling to customers, hiring team, everything becomes easy.
Awesome.
Yeah. Sorry.
And I think, early days, one more thing I usually say people is that, early days, anything you want to get done, like very, very early days, friends, families, and fools.
Yeah.
If you want money, you want to hire somebody, because nobody probably want to join at idea stage too sometimes, right?
True.
So that's the best way to target. And then you have to build up from there, from sales skills to traction. Moving on to the next question. This is by Abhishek Singh. Pros and cons on starting a startup early versus starting late in career. So I think, Avlesh, you started right after ISM, and Gautam, some of you maybe a little later. So maybe this person asked these questions to cover.
No pros. I have no pros. I have cons. I'll tell you what the cons are. Everybody else is around you will start getting married if you start too early. They'll start buying cars. They'll start buying houses. And your next month rent is also not going to be getting paid, right? You will have to borrow money from people. So small social stigmas like those to things that, you're new in the world. Nobody knows you. And nobody is willing to, bet their money on you, whether they are customers or investors. So yes, it's an uphill battle. It's very difficult. There are, of course, exceptions, and some people, of course, strike it very early and do it right. I think if you have, when in doubt, you go work at a startup. I think that's my piece of advice here. You work at a couple of startups and not a corporate, right? If you want to do something on your own, you go work in a small setup. Try and get as close to the founders by virtue of being overcommitted to what you're doing. Do extra, whatever you're asked to, just do a little bit extra than what you're doing. You'll get noticed. That's what startups are all about. And, that gives you the platform to basically run the tricks of the trade, gain that confidence that, it's nothing magical. You can pretty much do it all by yourself. And may fail hi karna hai, right? So it doesn't matter whether you start early or whether you start late. You have to accept the reality that even after working your ass off for 10 continuous years, you'll still fail. If you've come to terms with this, start right away. It doesn't really matter. But before you could get that synced in into your DNA, my advice would be to go work at some of these early stage companies, gain some exposure, and then start on it. The sooner the better.
Gautam, so what's your take as you started?
Well, okay, I think so Rakesh, it's not like we had a lot of opportunity at that point in time. Okay, the whole startup thing happened in India, of course. Now much later. Okay, so if I had a choice, I would have started earlier. The answer to that is emphatic yes. Okay. I mean, maybe that's my only regret. Meaning I started off probably too late. Okay. Well, the pros are, of course, that you have built a certain amount of understanding of, in terms of how customers look at, a provider. Okay. And how, what are the gaps that you start seeing the white spaces maybe much better. Okay. You have understanding of the domain. Okay. You have built connections. Okay. So, those are definitely the pros. Okay. In terms of, starting late. Okay. The cons are, of course, I mean, like I said, I mean, if you can, if you have, if you start early, then, in terms of the number of iterations that you want to do, and your own, ability to say, hey, you know what, I mean, I will try this, I will try that. Okay. That probably somewhere, you're probably limited a little bit, out there, but not so much. But yes, I mean, I think the cons are just that, you might have had much larger point or a period of time to build upon your idea and ideas for the panel. Okay, so that's the thing that I see.
Cool. Next, rapid fire questions, very quick. Question asked by Saurabh Akuri. How many years did it take you to break even? Both of you guys. Again, rapid fire.
Took me 3.5 years.
Similar, I think 4 years. Yeah, for WebEngage 4 years.
Yeah, this is very amazing because this is not common in North America. I don't know if you guys know, right?
There's no concept of break even. What do you mean break even? All these are for poor emerging countries. It's not for you guys. You guys can lose money. It's all right.
I absolutely love about that from Indian startup, right? Because they really get into the profit and money and margins, which is amazing.
Well, there are not too many, by the way.
Now that's also not true, right?
There are not too many.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
Because now the American money has come, yeah.
Big time. EBITDA negative is the new cool. So.
One question I have before I go to another question from audience. Anybody who wants to start a company, right? Whether out of school or, alumni with 10, 15 years experience, the first biggest piece is the psychological barrier, right? So what's your tip for those people? Like how to overcome that psychological barrier? Like there's always a little bit of fear and risk and a lot of people want to start. And I'm pretty sure today, a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs listening this right now. And like, what's your tip for that? Or what's even your, answer? Because the startup is not for everybody,
yeah,
right?
I'll go for it.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Correct. So Rakesh, I'll go for that question. Okay. So I think one of the things is that please find yourself co-founders. Okay. I mean, that's one of the most important thing, of course, complementary, skill sets. Okay. The right number probably can be, 3 or so. Okay. I mean, so that 3 or maybe 4 or max. Okay. So that you have ability to discuss with each other, and then because everybody goes through as lows and highs and stuff like that, and there has to be times that your co-founder, because it's a very closely knit group. I mean, you're meeting every day of the week, so one of the things that is that the psychological barrier, it will be greatly helped if you actually have right co-founders with you to start the journey. Okay, that's number one. Okay, number two, I would say that a support. Of course, you need to keep your family well, manage the expectation properly. Say, hey, you know what, I'm getting into this journey. Okay, so this may mean some amount of instability or hardship in the initial years, because this is what so I need your support. I think that's very important, because then I guess you can easily the rest, of course, your own internal passion and keeping yourself positive all the time is what you need to get going.
And what's your add-on on that, Avlesh, sir?
Just do it, folks. There's never a right time. I don't think there ever will be a time when you will feel confident about what you do, because I'll keep repeating this: no matter what you do, you will fail. And the point is that a lot of people evaluate this from a typical risk reward calculations. Unfortunately, this is not a zero sum game. Startups are all about wealth creation. If you're lucky, it's all disproportionate wealth. You're not doing it for, for incremental linear growth. Jobs are good, no? There are too many jobs available in the world to be able to do that. You will keep excel, you'll do good. As long as you continue to grow your skills, you'll continue to make more money. But if you want disproportionate wealth creation, by pursuing an idea, that's what entrepreneurship is all about. It's a mindset, right? I don't think there will be a day when you will feel, now I feel confident and I'm going to do this. Right? You just go ahead and do it. And don't evaluate it from a risk reward equation, because no matter how much math you do, and I wish I could tell you how many things you could go wrong with, and you would go wrong with. Right? Your ability to navigate those, your ability to stick through it for such a long period of time is important, which is completely a mindset. It's nothing else. And everything that Gautam sir was saying is all precursors to it. Those are preparing you to get there. But the final call again is, it's like, one fine day you'll just say, okay, what the heck, I'll just do it. And there'll be no right time to it, right? Like it'll be just like, what the heck. Chal gaya to bahut achhi baat hai, nahi chala to koi baat nahi, it's all right.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the next question. As you guys know, customers are the foundation of any business, right? So on the customer acquisition, I'm merging two people's questions, Ajoy Anand 2004 and Abhishek Agrawal. So Ajoy Anand is like, what has been the very successful means in, acquiring customers for both of you guys, for your startups? And second follow-up questions is, how did you guys get your first maybe 10 customers or even first 5 customers? And Avlesh sir, you can present from B2B perspective, and Gautam sir, you can definitely present from B2C perspective.
Gautam sir, why don't you go take a dig?
Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah. So, for us, we were creating a service, okay, where, so my customer, who's my customer? My customer is the retailer, okay, who's actually taking my app, okay, and is able to, generate revenue, by using that app. Okay. So it's basically about telling him as to how he or she can actually create a difference in his own community, okay, and in the process also earn money. Okay, so so for us, I think because we are into the B2C kind of journey, okay, so that and this is a different community. It's not like I'm looking for app download to happen. So for us, I had to create the entire distribution network to be there, do the tie-ups, bring the right products, okay, by tying up with the banks, and that actually mattered. Okay, for the B2B side of the business, because there's a B2B side of the business that we also do, okay, like providing technology, and because there, of course, the initial customers all came through, through the contacts, okay. In terms of we knowing them, we showing them in terms of what we are doing, building proof of concepts and showcasing as to how it can. So it was all about idea selling. It is all about evangelizing, a solution, and using our personal contacts into the industry. Is that helped us to get the first few customers or so. And then, after you get them, you need to really be focused on those customers, in terms of, and make sure that, that customer becomes your flag bearer. Okay. So that is your objective. Okay. And that's very, very critical objective. So once you have a good customer who's talking about you, and they themselves will refer you to other folks, we have much later in our own, journey, we have got into a structure where there's a digital marketing that we are focusing on, and we are looking at in terms of how, the sales team helps us to get new customers. They came in actually much, much later. Initially, it was all, about, knowing what you're doing, building a dream for the customer, building the right kind of a POC, go and take them personally to, to those folks, and get them, and then make sure that they are actually a happy customer, who will be, so the net promoter score, in terms of, they will actually be promoting you to other customers. So that's exactly what we, want to get there. Okay, so that's our journey, at least, okay, in terms of what we did.
And over to you, sir.
Yeah, तो सर बोलना बंद कर दे, मतलब it's all right. You don't have to. नहीं, Gautam sir has already answered. I think B2B वाला part बिल्कुल वो बहुत important है for everybody to understand that B2B sales is a lot about B2B mid-market and enterprise sales. The long tail SMB is a very different story, right? So if you're building a commodity long tail product, there is a different playbook for all that. But if you're building a large mid-market or enterprise B2B business anywhere in the world, the first few customers are always by references. You have to build a network. Either it is your own, or you rely on external networks. You rely on your investors, whoever else, to find some of these people and get in front of them. What is an absolute must is you have to have a product. You have to have something that product or service that demonstrates value that they can expect, from your product or service. You should clearly have that available before you even start reaching out to people. One of the advices that I give to early stage B2B founders is invest a lot of time in building your own personal brand to whatever extent you can. We all start with zero. We are all nobody in the universe. But if you have to exist in the B2B world, it's very important that you focus a lot on your own personal branding. It goes a long way in, not just only from a customer success standpoint, but also helps you, do things better in a B2B world, where a lot of things are driven by influence, and your own brand market value goes a long way in making that happen. The way to do it is to just be out there, talk to as many people as you can, just intrude in their private lives, hustle, hustle. That's all you can do. So yeah, keep hustling. Don't give up.
All right. One rapid fire question. I'm trying to take as many questions as possible. What one book do you guys recommend to the community right now? Like especially on people who are entrepreneurs starting their journey or building their startup. One book you highly recommend.
If I had to, my personal favorite is Hard Thing About Hard Things. It's a must read for everybody. And the one that I'm reading right now is this. Is this visible? James Clear. Yeah. I'm very late to the party. Atomic Habits. Yeah, I'm very late to this, but I think it's my latest favorite. But anyways, Hard Thing About Hard Things.
Gautam, some any recommendation from your side?
Yeah, see, I think I have in terms of one of the recent books that I read, I read a lot of Vivekananda actually. Okay, and I would really talk you guys to actually see the teachings of Vivekananda in terms of, because he was someone. I also did my schooling from the Ramakrishna Mission. Maybe that is why. But while I was there in the Ramakrishna Mission, I never really tried hard. It was more like, okay, you have to get up in the morning and you have to go to the prayers and stuff like that. This is all like, okay, how fast can I run away from all that? Okay, but only later I realized that the man was really way ahead of his time. And it is something that I draw a lot of inspiration from. Okay, in terms of what I did. Of course, I loved one of the recent books is the Sapien as well. Okay, I loved that in terms of how the whole how he describes the history of brief history of mankind per se. Okay, so that's another book that I read, and I really loved reading that in terms of the whole evolution of man.
That's a wonderful book. Yeah, on my reread all the time.
Yes. Yeah.
Great.
I've also shared a quick link on chat whenever you guys get time, whoever is interested. It's a very short post. It's called Nobody Cares by Anderson Horowitz. We all love him. Everybody reads their gospels, but this is one of the very short summaries about nobody really cares. Just do your thing, and it's put very, very beautifully. Everybody should find time to read. I go to this all the time. Whenever I'm disappointed from life, I just go back and read this, which is very often, by the way. So.
All right, that's a good recommendation. Moving on to one quick questions. I think Avlesh said, neither of you guys have MBA background, are you?
Me?
I did my MBA, yes.
So the question I think one of the audience asked is, did you ever think MBA can help you push your business to the next level? I don't know. You have done it, and you probably have about it.
Okay.
Somebody curious about that MBA in the whole startup scene.
Right. Okay. I don't know, but I think yes, I mean, it does give you certain skill set in terms of how you go about, thinking about a problem, or how do you handle organization. Of course, it does give you some kind of a bit of background of that. But all of these things, in any way, you actually learn on the job. Okay, you know. And frankly, I mean, I have no qualms about accepting this. When I did my MBA, because we had no other opportunity at that point in time. Nobody came to the campus. You guys remember? So that was the way of saying that, okay, fine. So what is to do? Okay, well, right. Okay, so the MBA was the most viable option for us to get into the other industries. Okay, so that was the gateway to the other industries, rather than petroleum engineering or refining companies or so. Okay, so we did that, and of course, that worked out, because I got into the financial services and banks, and today, payments is a subject that I'm really passionate about. Okay, so so it did work. Did it help me to get to where I am? Yes, but is it a mandatory or necessary thing for you to succeed in the startup? Definitely not.
All right. Let's move on to the next question pretty quickly, because it seems like there are a lot of entrepreneurs listening as well. One of them asks is, how are you managing your team effectively remotely? I'm pretty sure everybody's remote right now. So one or two tips you guys can share how you guys are making your team effective.
Okay. Yes.
So
Avlesh.
One, I don't even think I manage my team effectively. It's like I think they manage themselves, and good for them. I think good for the business also. Yeah, tech businesses are slightly different, because they're generally sort of remote by design. Engineers don't like to come to office. They don't like to come on time. I think it's actually much better that they don't have to travel these days. I'm a lot more productive in my engineering department, if nowhere else. Because they're designed to be like, everything else in their lives is distraction, outside of the core things, which is traveling to offices. And, you know how these metro cities are. Mumbai, Bangalore, there's insane amount of travel time. So yeah, I do find some of these core functions to become a lot more effective. Fundamentally, we didn't have to change anything. The business used to run on softwares and tools and all these remote understandings any which way. Our sales always used to run online, right? So we don't have feet on street sales. We have people sitting in offices doing online demos and calls, and so on and so forth. So by design, it was not too much of a difficulty for us to adapt to this. And for whatever it's worth, I think some of the departments have actually done better in this mode. But the good thing about tech businesses as a founder is that you don't have to work hard to manage people. People figure things out and they do their thing. So yeah, it's not been too difficult for me personally, thankfully.
Yeah, great. I think, yeah, from a team management perspective, I agree with what Avlesh just said. Okay, and of course, you're putting up the right team in place, then you don't have to manage them quite a bit, and that's the idea. Okay, but having said that, I think the whole work from home, okay, which we were all forced upon, has helped all of us to learn newer skill sets. Okay, in terms of and I definitely see that across the board. Okay, across the board in the organization, people have become much more disciplined. The calendar invites are being sent, they're being accepted. You could see the free slots in on people calendars, which is possibly people used to take that, okay, fine, I'm there in the office, we'll just pull together and do a brainstorming meeting and somewhere. So I think uh, a lot more organized people have become. Okay, and the fact that they don't have to travel, and traveling is an ordeal in Bangalore at least. Okay, I mean, even Mumbai is bad, but Bangalore is like really really bad. Okay, so it has actually cut down on the travel time, and therefore people are more productive. Okay, we use G Suite, okay, as the standard platform across the company. So we are using a whole lot more video based discussions and planning, but only in certain areas. Of course, there's no replacement of the physical meeting that we are really missing, apart from the fact that, yes, I mean, it always feels nice to be in contact with people, which we can't do today. But in certain meetings, like if you want to really do a brainstorming meeting, or if you want to, some of those things you still need people to be put together, always helps better. But otherwise, yes, I mean, from in fact, and I would say that from an overall productivity level, it has really improved rather than any deterioration per se because of the then lockdown situation that we're in.
Awesome. All right, so we're going to take 3 more questions, and I'm trying to read all these questions and listen to you guys as well, so be a little bit odd. One question for you, it says, Avlesh sir, any recommended strategy to build personal brand? I think you've done a pretty good job. You mentioned as a engineer, we are not good at sales, but I think you already cracked that, and somebody wants to get some tips.
No, I've cracked it. I fucked it up, and I've cracked it, and I fucked it up. So I'm a mix of a lot of things. Don't go by what I did and what I do. I think one of the things that really helps is articulation, being able to express yourself, and all of this goes back to what I was trying to say earlier, right? Being able to sell, being able to talk. A lot of these things are hard things, right? As engineers, it's even harder because those things are not something that we naturally excel at. Learn to articulate, and one way to do this, the path that I followed was write a lot. Most of my early sort of discovery, with high network people, it happened because I used to write a lot. I mean, nowadays it's not much. I drop in a lot of bullshit stuff on Twitter and elsewhere, but yeah, I used to write long form, for a very long period of my time. It's just out of own sheer sort of passion. And things like those, they get discovered. There will be people who will find, if you're really good at articulating, some people will like it, and some of them will become your associates, partners, confidants, hires, like that over a period of time. That's what I could tell you in a nutshell. Try to write a lot. That helps you articulate and express yourself better, and builds a brand. Definitely builds a brand.
All right, second last question. Maybe either of one of you guys can take on that. What helped you preserve during the hard times before you become successful? What tips would you share for struggling entrepreneurs? So
keep struggling. Gautam sir.
Yeah, absolutely. I think don't lose hope. Okay, keep trying at it. Okay, and if you reach a point that you think that okay, there is no strength in the idea, then take a very firm decision and get out of it and get into something else. Okay, so that's what I mean. I mean, see, struggle is part of the journey, guys. Okay, so this is not, so you have to first mentally prepare yourself to accept that struggle. Okay, but set your rules, set your understanding. Know as to what is going to be succeeding or not succeeding. Not because the market doesn't exist. Maybe this is something that you're not making the best out of it, and maybe some other place you can make best out of it. Then exit, okay, and start something new.
Anything you want to add?
No, I said this, guys. Please don't give up. You have to very strongly believe in what you're doing. To Gautam sir's point, if you're not confident about what you're doing, then yes, there has to be a time when you move on. And most people, they get very emotionally attached to their ideas. The world is inhabited by 7.5 billion people, guys. There is nothing that you thought of today has not been thought before. The probability of that happening does not exist. A lot of people thought the same shit that you're thinking through right now, thinking it's a great idea. Ideas don't matter. There are timers and there are too many of them. I get 20 ideas sitting in my dump yard every day. Like they don't matter. What matters is whether you have the ability to out execute, not even execute, out execute, and do the homework. I think a lot of people, including me, right? We make all these mistakes. We don't do enough market research about what we try to do. It's the same thing, right? To obsess over the problem, not the solution. All of this links back to you trying to determine whether this problem is worth your time. Think about if you're giving something your next 10 years, probably your best 10 years, it has to be worth your while, right? And worth everybody's while who wants to become a part of that journey. Just pick a very, very large market. Pick a very, very big problem, something that is a very large market, and then have the courage and conviction to stay put for 10 years. If you have all of this in place, please, you struggle and all that is okay. I've struggled all my life, and I know I'll struggle even further. But it's all right. In the end, somebody will reward you for it.
All right, so
Right.
let's conclude it here. Thanks a lot for answering all the questions, and there's still 21 pending, unfortunately. But lack of time, I don't want to continue stretching it. But thanks a lot, both of you guys, for joining us, and really appreciate that. And thanks all the audience for attending it. So yeah, thank you. And anybody want to go and have the informal networking further? We're going to carry on for another 20 minutes. Let's join the very first Zoom link which was shared. And everybody have a good night.
You
Thank
want
you, Rakesh. Yeah,
you want us to join that first link?
No, it's okay, sir. It's very
Okay.
optional. So if anybody wants to join, it's nothing else. Go ahead,
Good.
Gautam,
Good.
you were saying something.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, thank you very much. And this is my first interaction with the community. Okay, you're doing a great job. And I think it was absolute fun to be part of the session today. And, great chatting with you, Avlesh. Okay, and I think, I loved it. Next time you're in Bangalore or I'm in Mumbai, we shall meet up.
We
Okay.
should. We should.
And yeah, all the very best and good night to all the India participants. And you have a good day, Rakesh.
All right, awesome. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for your time.
Thank you. Bye-bye then.
I loved it. Thank you.
Bye-bye.